Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
Yesterday, the Rays and Blue Jays kicked off the 2016 season before a packed house at the Trop. Chris Archer dazzled, punching out 12 Toronto hitters. But Troy Tulowitzki's two-run shot of the eighth proved to be the difference. Tonight, lefty Drew Smyly makes his 2016 debut against veteran knuckleballer R.A. Dickey. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the season-opening four-game series between the Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays continues with Game 2 on the heels of yesterday's opener taken by Toronto 5-3. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard as the Rays and the Blue Jays square off. Well, Drew Smyly has been a big plus for the Rays. They've loved what they've seen from him since he first arrived here, BA, in July of 2014. They've especially liked what they have seen this spring.
Well, listen, it's been 19 starts for Drew since coming to the Rays, and guess what? He has been superb. The numbers speak for themselves. Now, listen, Drew is not going to light up the radar gun, but he doesn't need to. He works from such a steep angle, he creates a ton of deception. He can work the ball downhill very, very well, and guess what? He's very efficient at elevating the fastball, too. That is a rare combination for a starting pitcher, for any pitcher, really. Like you said, he had a very strong spring. He finished strong, and he is looking to get it going here tonight.
See Drew Smyly 1-0 in just two starts against the Blue Jays with a microscopic 1.32 ERA, and the 41-year-old knuckleballer R.A. Dickey 7-8 in his career against the Rays with a 4.18. So a dandy matchup tonight with the lefty Smyly and the right-hander and the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey. New additions in this Rays lineup. We got a look at them yesterday. More on the new bats from Tom Callis when we return.
Rays. In tonight's lineup, you'll see new faces in the 2, 4, and 6 spot in the lineup. Number 2 spot, Logan Morrison. The number 4 spot, Corey Dickerson. The number 6 spot, Brad Miller. And here you see some of the numbers over their careers. These aren't just new guys who have all of a sudden come over to the Rays. These are proven guys in our Toyota Inside Look who have done it over a number of big league seasons. Steve Pearce now into double digits in his career at the big league level. We caught up with Brad Miller, who's from nearby Orlando Olympia High School, as to what he likes being a part of this Rays lineup.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, there's a lot of new faces in here to add to a good group they already had. So it's exciting. You know, I think, you know, it'll be a lot of fun watching some of these guys. I've been on the other side playing against them, but you know, now that we're together, I think we got a pretty solid offense.
So we'll see how they fare against a knuckleballer tonight in R.A. Dickey. Some of them have a few at-bats against the knuckleballer, others more extensive against R.A. Dickey. We're ready for baseball. 3.5 minutes until the first pitch. Dickey will be opposed by the lefty, Drew Smyly, next.
Drew Smyly heads to the hill for the Rays tonight as the Rays try to pull even in this series, dropping the opener yesterday to this defending the American League East defending champions, the Toronto Blue Jays. And for your Southern Ford dealers, here is the Toronto lineup. Again, Kevin Pillar leads it off, followed by Josh Donaldson and Jose Bautista. Edwin Encarnacion, the DH, will hit cleanup in front of Troy Tulowitzki. Chris Colabello at first, Michael Saunders in left, Ryan Goins up in the 8th spot, and batting ninth, Josh Tolley, the catcher.
Well, and for Drew Smyly, let's take a look at the Toyota keys to his success. And I'll tell you, the elevated fastball, number one, you know, that's one of the changes that Drew Smyly made when he came over to the Rays. One of the tweaks that they made with him is seeing if he could elevate that fastball. Well, he has shown the ability to do that and to do that very efficiently. And number two, that has led to the better utilization of his off-speed pitches. He has a real nice feel for when to go to the curveball, to the changeup, the occasional cutter, and that's what he uses, that fastball, to set up the off-speed pitches, knows when to use them, and he just keeps opposing lineups completely off balance.
So that's what he'll be attempting to do tonight against this very healthy Toronto lineup. And here's Kevin Pillar stepping in to lead it off. First pitch is upstairs, so we're underway. Paul Immel is calling the balls and strikes tonight. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Two and one. Pillar, the only member of the Blue Jays lineup not to strike out in yesterday's game. He had a double and an RBI single. And now the count is 2-2. Three of those four pitches up and all right around that strike zone.
Boy, it's so deceptive because he really is straight over the top, and being able to elevate, then to drop it down to the bottom, tough to do.
Fly ball left. Jennings coming in a hurry, gets there. One gone.
You know what? That set right there, by the way, that shows those keys right there in that at bat. You know, the elevated fastball, setting up the changeup to finish off the at bat by Kevin Pillar. That's how he uses that pitch to utilize the off-speed pitches. And let's take a quick look at the Rays defense, brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield left to right, we have Jennings, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. And across that infield, third to first, Longoria, Miller, Forsythe, and Morrison, with Kurt Casale behind the plate.
Josh Donaldson. Pitch is up. Donaldson, last year's American League MVP. And boy, he had the MVP numbers with the power he has given this club, and he's way out in front of the change there. Tonight's Buick GMC big matchup. Trouble with Donaldson, who's 5 of 8 off Smyly. And Smyly giving him a lot to think about here in this at bat already.
That's what he does. I mean, he utilizes the strike zone very, very well, up and down, in and out. But we've seen the elevated heater, the changeup, right back to a ball up in the zone, up out of the zone.
And he is out on strikes. You break to that one. So nice work there by the lefty against a tough right-handed hitting Josh Donaldson.
Well, he is following the script. The elevated fastball, the good off-speed pitches late. That's a nice curveball right there after an at-bat filled with fastballs and changeups. Goes to the curveball, and Donaldson cannot stop that swing.
Jay Bautista takes a look at the first pitch, and that's in there for a strike. One and one. The other thing Smyly does is set his own pace. He starts all the action out there on the hill, and he will take advantage of that. There's a strike, 1 and 2. He really doesn't give you a lot of time to think along with him.
No, he works with a very quick rhythm. Your fielders, they appreciate that. It's just a matter of comfort. And, you know, Drew Smyly, like I said earlier, has a really good idea of what he wants to do out there. Can follow a game plan with the best of them. So, listen, you know what you want to throw, get up there and throw it.
Takes the count full. And a cut and a miss. Right back with a fastball up to get him. 1, 2, 3. Go the Blue Jays. Rays coming in to hit. getting ready to hit out of the leadoff spot. We examine the Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Forsythe followed by Logan Morrison and Evan Longoria. The DH is Corey Dickerson, who hit the home run yesterday. Desmond Jennings and Brad Miller will follow. Then Steven Souza Jr., Kevin Kiermaier, and Kurt Casale.
Well, see it high, let it fly, see it low, let it go. That is the game plan against R.A. Dickey. The Rays know it well. They see him all the time, especially obviously since coming over to the Blue Jays just about every series. R.A. Dickey, and he has been the model of consistency as a Blue Jay. Going to give you about 220 innings, 13 wins.
And Forsythe has had a little success against him. He's 6 of 21. Takes the pitch in there for a strike. Well, you look for the knuckleball, and if you get a fastball about 80, you're surprised.
Especially the first pitch of a game.
Yeah. Down to third, Donaldson whistles that one across. One gone.
Now let's take a look at that Toronto defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Sword. In the outfield left to right, we have Michael Saunders, Kevin Pillar, and Jose Bautista. Across the infield third to first, Josh Donaldson, Troy Tulowitzki, Ryan Goins, and Chris Colabello, and Josh Foley behind the plate.
There's Logan Morrison. Morrison 0 for 4 in the opener yesterday. 6 of 23 in his career against the veteran knuckleballer. He's taken a couple of those and is up in the count 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. Longoria there on deck.
In a 3-0 count, now a 3-1 count, you'd like to say that you have the pitcher exactly where you want him, but with the knuckleball, you just can never tell. That thing, the way that it dances all over the place.
And there's ball 4. Well, the Rays get a base runner. A couple interesting things here in this matchup with Dickey and Smiley, two pitchers in their own way. Kind of fun to watch. See Longoria's numbers against Dickey. Couple of home runs in the 43 official at bats, 11 hits overall. That's a liner, fair toward the corner, extra bases. Morrison will hit third. Montoya is going to stop him there on the double by Evan Longoria.
Nice combination by the Rays 2 and 3 hitters. Logan Morrison showing some patience, working a walk, and then Evan Longoria aggressively going out after the first pitch and lining that ball up the left field line. Instant threat here by the Rays.
Well, Evan had 2 hits, including a double in yesterday's game. His double yesterday up the right side, and this one pulled down the left field line. And the Rays have an instant threat in the bottom of the first with Corey Dickerson due up. Dickerson homered in the 9th inning of the game yesterday, hit an 0-2 pitch out. So he has that first Rays home run out of the way. This one getting away from Tully, but no attempt to come down the line by Morrison.
What a tremendous job by Josh Tully to get the backhand, to just get leather on that pitch. Coming out of the hand of R.A. Dickey, that knuckleball was dancing and headed down and in. And boy, just the simple fact that he was able to get any piece of that glove on that ball saves a run for the Blue Jays.
Well, Tully's got a lot of experience with Dickey. He was with the Mets when Dickey was over there and has been with the Blue Jays most of the time. Dickey has been with Toronto. 2-0 last year. He spent most of his season in Buffalo. Just a handful of games with the Blue Jays. When you go back to 2010 with the Mets, he was there when Dickey was there in 10, 11, and 12. It's popped up on the left side. It's Tulowitzki. 2 gone.
That's a big out right there. Second and third, 1 out, and Corey Dickerson, middle of your order, your power at the plate. And in a 2-0 count, Dickey able to induce the infield pop-up.
There's Desmond Jennings. Desmond singled and scored a run in yesterday's game. Takes a strike. Well, it was the Blue Jays who broke out in front yesterday with 2 in the first. Rays had that opportunity in the first tonight. It'll take a 2-out hit to get it done. It's out of play. Extending the count to 0-2. Jays got a great pitching performance from Marcus Stroman in yesterday's game. Some talk about the Rays in yesterday's game against Stroman making a lot of outs early in the count. I'm going to tell you, with the kind of stuff he had, you didn't have much choice.
No, pick your poison.
Yep.
You know, if you're going to take those pitches and not be as aggressive, you're going to sit 0-1, 0-2 all game long.
Oh, back to the mound. Dickey with a toss to first, and the Rays miss an opportunity, leaving 2. No score. Lefty Drew Smiley back to the mound. No score through an inning tonight. He'll face the DH Edwin Encarnacion, then Troy Tulowitzki and Chris Colabello.
There's a guy here.
Upstairs with the first pitch. Fastball from Smiley. Two and 0. Drew said he likes to be unpredictable. Well, that's true. But he's also had great command for the most part since coming to the Rays. And he does have some deception.
Well, without having a fastball that sits in the mid-90s, you know, he has rung up at 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings since coming over to the Rays. So he has swing and miss stuff. It's just the deception that's what gives it to him.
And he gives up a walk to Smiley. Well, that first inning couldn't have been much better for him.
No, and we talked about the keys, the elevated fastball, the utilization of the off-speed pitches. It doesn't get any better than this right here. Fastball up and out of the zone, no chase there. Okay, let's follow that up with a changeup. Now we're back to even at 1-1. Let's climb that ladder again with the heater. Now back to 1-2. Get him looking up, speed him up, slow him down with a pitch below the zone. Another off-speed pitch, this time the curveball. That's mean right there. That's just mean.
Well, that was the MVP. The Rays wanted the appeal on that one, didn't get the call from Tim Timmons. You know, that's the guy who had 41 home runs last year, drove in over 120 runs. And in many ways, these other great power hitters in their lineup notwithstanding, really was a missing piece that they added to that lineup that just made this Blue Jays lineup a run-scoring machine.
Yeah, they were potent before Josh Donaldson, certainly more potent after. Then you add this guy at the trade deadline. It just continues.
Tap to third. Longoria goes to second out there. First not going to be in time. They get the lead man on the force play. Longoria to Forsythe.
Just too much ground to cover. It was well executed by the Rays infield, but just too much ground to cover to be able to get the double play. Evans got a charge, throw on the run accurately to Logan Forsythe. Just not enough time to get Tulowitzki.
One on, one out. Now the Blue Jays made some moves, including that Tulowitzki trade, and this team really took off after that. Strike to Colabello.
That's that unpredictability that you're talking about. You know, this is a fastball feasting lineup. Colabello very aggressive. All of these hitters very aggressive. Starts him with a changeup, gets him thinking. Now is able to power the fastball by him. Now you have no idea what's coming if you're Chris Colabello. That's why you ask for time to try to figure it out. What's he going to come with next?
And sometimes you do that to a pitcher and he's got you. I mean, you start then trying to outthink him. The play holds the count at 2 strikes. Saunders on deck, the left fielder. Nice block there by Casale. Pitch biting down.
Yeah, not an easy pitch to handle. You keep a runner out of scoring position by making this play right here. A curveball that just gets away from Drew, spikes it down and in, and like a goalie, moving over, smothering that baseball, keeping it right in front.
And that's one thing that Casale worked on this spring. There were times last year a little concern over that. Blocking pitches, moving, and that goalie-like move, what a catcher wants to do. Foul.
Now you get down in that catcher's stance, but you have to be nimble. You know, you don't think of a catcher being nimble, but you have to be side to side. And Curt Casali, you know, he's one of those guys that has a tremendous work ethic, and he knew what was out in front of him coming into this season, that he had a great opportunity to seize a lot of playing time behind the plate. And, you know, it's something he worked on in the offseason and certainly worked very hard on during spring training, and it's been rewarded.
Now the runner's going to try to advance, and the throw down not in time as that one in the dirt skipped away from him and rolled away. That cost him some time.
Now these are tough pitches to try to keep in front and to keep close. As you see where this breaking ball again down, and that comes right up, not able to get the body out over top of that baseball and keep it right in front, and just that little to the side, and that allows Tulowitzki a move up.
Yeah, not much a catcher can do right there. It's a wild pitch with sharp break down. Sometimes you'll try to deaden that, but tough to do.
Well, especially because that ball, like you said, it's a spike curveball right into the ground. It goes off the heel of the glove and then ricochets off the chest protector. It bounces into a lot of things. It's not always going to just drop right where you'd like it to. Tough one.
So now it's the Blue Jays with a man in scoring position. 2-2 count on their first baseman. Decides not to chase that one up. Count is full. Goria gloves this one. Staying at second, Tulowitzki. So 2 gone now with a man at second. Tonight's Rays broadcast can make you a winner. Enter for a chance at tonight's Rays Up to Win prize. A meet and greet with Chris Archer. 2 autographed Chris Archer jerseys and 2 lower box tickets. The winner will be shown live on air in the 8th inning. So visit RaysBaseball.com/big giveaway to enter. Rays up.
That's a pretty
nice
good
package,
giveaway. I mean,
it?
2 autographed jerseys,
yeah,
on top of the meet and greet, the great seats. What do I have to do?
First pitch strike to Michael Saunders.
I'm visiting RaysBaseball.com/big giveaway right now, Dwayne.
Yep. Well, it's because you're present doesn't give you an advantage, though. You don't have to be present to win. Probably a good idea to be watching, though.
Yes.
1-1 the count to Saunders. Oh, this one bouncing away, but Casali keeps him within reach and no chance to advance by Tulowitzki. Well, this gives you, in a way, it shows you the quality of his stuff, how tough he is to catch.
Well, and the way that he moves the ball around, below the zone, above the zone. I mean, he just gives a hitter a whole lot to think about, and he's giving his catcher right now, Curt Casali, a whole lot of work to do.
Yep.
He's like, listen, I worked on this stuff all spring training. I get it, but
yeah, and
not
that
so
one,
many.
And that one, to be truthful, he really short hopped that one.
Yep.
But those other 2 pitches, they were tough pitches. Oof, there's a strike. Look at that. I mean, that's a tough pitch.
Now that breaking ball is actually moving off the plate. Drew Smyly has always been tough on left-handed hitters, even more so since coming over to the Rays. Big reason why, or those types of pitches.
And a cut and a miss. He strikes him out on the fastball. Got him on the fastball then. Man left on second. No score. Bottom of the second tonight at Tropicana Field. You can get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and leave long-lasting memories. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by calling 888-FAN-RAYS or emailing group sales at raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain. Rays shortstop Brad Miller takes a strike. First pitch knuckleball in there from Dickey. Now he's down 0-2. Miller, Souza Jr. and Kiermaier due up in the second. And that's the first strikeout for Dickey. Tough to do much with that one.
No, listen, when you're ahead in the count 0-2, you can take that knuckleball out of the zone, and I think that that's something that R.A. Dickey does a great job of. He can manipulate that pitch and get it to move down and into the lefties. He can get it to move down and away. Now, you always don't know how it's going to get there, but he can manipulate that ball. He also does a great job of manipulating velocity with that knuckleball.
Steven Souza Jr. tried to check, and the pitch hit the bat there. Foul ball, strike one. 16 home runs a year ago for Souza. Sends a high fly ball opposite field. Good carry, and that baby's gone. Opposite field home run for Steven Souza Jr. Well, you supply most of your own power against the knuckleballer. Souza's strong enough to hit it out of anywhere, and he gives the Rays the lead.
Yeah, very strong hands, strong quick swing, see it high, let it fly, and he hits a towering blast to right field to give the Rays the lead.
So the Rays have the lead on the home run. Here's Kevin Kiermaier. Kevin takes the ball. You really have the feeling it's going to be fun to watch this Rays lineup You know, it may not be the 27 Yankees, but it's going to be a lineup, I think, that extends itself. You know, you've got a chance to build some innings with this lineup. You're not giving away any outs. There's a base hit. Kiermaier's aboard. An aggressive turn to go behind him. He's going to be safe at second base. Kiermaier got Bautista to commit. And what he did, he took advantage of that.
Well, he was far enough off, and it was a great read. As soon as Bautista went behind him, that ball's got to travel. And while it's traveling, Kevin Kiermaier is continuing on towards second base. And here's how he entices that throw. And then look at that. Very little hesitation. Gets back to full speed. And he's loving that. Boy, that's the element that he brings to this Rays offense, the base running ability, the aggressiveness on the base paths.
You know, there's a lot to like about him. I mean, obviously the way he plays center field. But, you know, yesterday he was out at third base on a play that normally you wouldn't do. He wore that. He stood up and said, that was not smart. That's on me. You have to respect that. And then the way he plays the game. Oh, there's a strike to Casale.
And it really bothered him, too. It really bothered him, that play in yesterday's game. You talk about that aggressiveness on the base paths. You got to be a little bit more disciplined. He acknowledged that, like you said, and made a heck of a play his first at bat here tonight.
1 ball, 1 strike. So he gets a single on that, but he winds up at second as he enticed Bautista to throw behind him. So they rule it a single and second on the throw. It's not nearly as routine as that may sound. 2-1. The Rays have taken the lead. They left 2 men on in scoring position in the first, but a home run by Souza Jr. gets him on the board quickly in the second. Now another opportunity with the aggressive base running of Kiermaier. Count goes to 2-2 to the Rays catcher. Low. The count is full.
Hey, listen, someone needs to get word to Kevin Kiermaier to get that scouting report back into the pocket. You want that to fall into enemy hands.
Good observation right there. Yeah, tuck that baby down in there securely. One hopper, what a pickup by Tulowitzki. And he has plenty of time to make the play, but boy, that was some pickup on that ball with top spin on it.
That ball was smoked by Curt Casale, and I'll tell you what, the Blue Jays, they love their defense. I think they're going to be really proficient at catching the baseball, and a nice job there by Tulowitzki. A ball that's smoked, it's a backhand, it comes up on him. Boy, keep the eye on the prize and then make the throw.
R.A. Dickey acknowledging his shortstop for that play because it was smoked. So now back to the top of the order. Here's Logan Forsythe. And he pops it up. Short center. Points out from second base. And the Rays will settle for 1. They get a run on the home run by Steven Souza Jr. They also leave a man and they lead 1-0. Steven Souza Jr.'s home run has given the Rays a 1-0 lead. Well, he's got his scouting report securely tucked in out there, and so he's set as Ryan Goins leads it off, the second baseman, and he hits 8th tonight. Tony next, and then Pilar. Ball 1. Kiermaier is in position perfectly out there. One away here in the top of the 3rd. Time to go to the draft room. Emily is there. Emily?
Dwayne, I'm telling you, the Republic Bank draft room is the place to be this season. It is exclusively for Rays season ticket holders, so be sure you take advantage of this opportunity. They serve locally craft beers, including right there the Two Seam Blonde Ale. It has been a fan favorite so far this season. Also have some, signature concession items, so be sure you visit raysbaseball.com to take advantage of that offer. I don't want to brag, but I did go up to Steven Souza Jr. and tell him he's going to hit a home run this evening. So I don't know, maybe I'm psychic. I don't know what we have going on here, but I called it, guys. I told Souza that he's going to hit that home run.
Well, I mean, maybe tomorrow night approach a few other guys.
You never know.
She's right about that. You never know.
That's right. Need all the runs that Rays can get.
Draft room's making us thirsty up here, though. Shot to right. Souza Jr. is going to have to go back, and that ball is gone, but a fan reaches over that yellow marker to make the catch and brought it back, and so that's not going to be a home run.
Now, and Laz Diaz was out there in center field tracking that ball, and it certainly did look like the gentleman right there leaned over the top of the fence to make the catch. And I think Laz Diaz made the right call, made it quickly.
You can see that right there.
Well, it's
So that's
funny
a double.
because that ball hits the glove, and then the glove goes down. That I mean, that's not an easy angle.
Well,
you could make a case that it was going to hit the blue shirt guy right in the belly.
Well, John Gibbons is out here, and he wants to have a little conversation, and I'm sure brings up the exact point that you just did.
I mean, if that ball doesn't hit the glove, that is borderline home run. Now, I don't know how you could ever go to replay and say for sure that it was going to make it over the wall, but boy, oh boy, from that angle, the glove, it goes into that glove, and the glove continues down. But that's a borderline deal.
They're going to review it.
It's just, is it definitive enough? And I don't think that it is. I think it stays a double.
He made a pretty good catch out there.
He did, and didn't lose it on the way down.
Let's take another look. What a play. They're going to give him the home run. So it was definitive enough. Josh Tully is going to be awarded the home run to even this game at 1-1.
Well, I never thought that they would overturn it, but I can certainly understand how they came to that conclusion, because from that angle, that's going to cost the gentleman his seat for this ball game. Maybe if it was a double, he'd still be allowed to stay there, but that ball goes into the glove, and they determined that without the contact, that ball was going to clear the fence.
Kevin Pillar takes a strike. So R.A. Dickey's battery mate pulls him even. Kiermaier handles this pop fly to short center. Pillar is the second out.
Third baseman, Josh Donaldson.
Well, that review, the announcement is that it took 1 minute and 4 seconds. So they're getting with the program.
You could see that same review last year being in the 2.5 minute range, maybe more.
Oh, foul. 1 strike to count to Donaldson. Well, Smiley had his way with Donaldson in the first, and Donaldson comes right out aggressively swinging here in the second at bat.
We just don't very often see Josh Donaldson get worked over like he did. And I'm sure he is not very happy.
Now, we talked about Smiley and his quick approach. Well, let's take another look at that review.
I can see how they came to that conclusion, but I'm still surprised that that's how they really ruled on it.
High pop fly. Miller out from shortstop. Puts it away. A run on the home run. Bottom of the third coming. We're tied 1-1. Not hit a home run in either Toronto or Buffalo last year. Has one tonight, and here it is. First ruled a double and then overturned because apparently that was clear and convincing enough to overturn it.
Yeah, I mean that is borderline, and typically in a call like that, you think whatever was called on the field is going to stand. Not so much.
Clear and convincing.
I could be convinced, but I don't think it was very clear.
Here Morrison out, unassisted. Colabello down at first, takes care of that. Yeah, well, that's the defining term that's supposed to rule those decisions. I'm kind of with you. Common sense sort of tells you that that ball probably would have traveled out of here. But to be clear and convincing, that's another story.
Where you can, calls on the field like that are subjective, and even when you go back, if those are the angles that they took a look at right off the bat, you're making a subjective call there too. But oh well.
Well, maybe they should add common sense to the clear and convincing. Clear and convincing in the face of common sense. Look. Goings at second base handles that one, and Evan Longoria is out of there, 2 gone. So a solo home run by Steven Souza in the second, and a home run by Josh Thole in the third. This game is tied 1-1.
And back to even and back to work.
Corey Dickerson will bat with the bases empty and 2 outs. Strike 1. Back with the knuckleball again, 0-2.
How about both of those knuckleballs? That late cutting action on it. Up in the zone, that's where, if you're a Rays hitter, that's where you want to see that pitch. But late cutting action, and it has eluded the bat of Corey Dickerson.
The count. That was the count when Dickerson homered yesterday in the 9th inning, connecting off Osuna.
Now that ball up in the zone and quick hands by Corey Dickerson, and very aggressive with the swing.
Yeah, let me correct that. Osuna came on and didn't give up anything. That came against Stroman, who for the most of the day didn't give up anything. Fly ball to left. Dickerson out this time. 1-2-3. We're tied 1-1. Couple of home runs in this game, tied 1-1. Tonight's Geico moment. We'll take you back to Game 5 of the ALDS. Jose Bautista's emotional 3-run homer in the 7th inning capped that furious Jays comeback and propelled Toronto to the ALCS, where they eventually lost to the Kansas City Royals, and it also set this off. Bautista takes a strike, that bat flip, and
yeah,
in a traditional sense, a lot of people to take exception to that.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Dwayne, and you know, coming from obviously a pitcher, I did not have it did not strike me in that moment as over the top. I mean, you look at it, and he certainly had great hang time on that flip, and there was a pause before it, but when I watched it, it did not bother me like it bothered other people. Now, if I'm out on the mound,
Yeah.
Maybe better location next time. That's on you.
Well, it's interesting because the way people come down on that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a divide now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's some players that Bautista said, hey, it was the emotion of the moment, a broken bat, the base hit dropping into center field. You know, some people say that that's good, that they like to see that kind of emotional demonstration more. And you know, they call the other view the old school view. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it that. I mean, it is that in a way, but there is a matter of are you showing up a guy or not? And if you're on the mound, you might have your moment the next time you face that guy.
Well, and you might, and I will say this, I kind of agree with what Jose Bautista said as far as that moment, that comeback was insane to watch live. I mean, you're watching that game going, is this really happening this late in the game? You know,
takes off and a fly ball into left. It's going to drop. Bautista's headed to third. The throw will go there. He is safe. He got in head first. And trailing into second is Encarnacion. So Bautista goes to third.
That broken too?
And just like that, a major threat for the Blue Jays.
Well, Bautista challenging the arm of Desmond Jennings after Encarnacion goes up the left field line. This ball's kind of floating out there. He's able to drop it in fair, gets out and around it, drops it out there. He's going to challenge the arm of Desmond Jennings and just able to get in there. Evan Longoria scrambling for the throw and just not able to get any sort of tag as he had to move to his right to secure it.
Here's Tulowitzki taking a strike. They rule out a single and second on the throw. I might be inclined to just give him a double. Bautista winds up at third. Fly ball into center, and Kiermaier's there. Going to make the catch. The throw will be toward third. The run will score. Bautista crosses the plate. So an aggressive play by Bautista. He winds up at third and eventually scores. Tulowitzki makes it 2-1.
And that's just how quickly that this Blue Jay offense can get a run across. Obviously, we know they've got prodigious power, but Bautista with a single, Encarnacion with another single, and Troy Tulowitzki. That was not an easy curveball to get elevated, by the way. That was down around the shins. He got it deep enough to get the run home.
This was the hit before. You don't want it.
So Encarnacion in scoring position at second. There's Colabello. Strike one.
Well, Colabello, listen, he wants to get extended. His swings can sometimes get long. And so you have seen every pitch that Drew Smyly has thrown him, whether it's been the fastball or off speed, has been inside, close to him, trying to limit that extension in the swing.
Colabello reaching and missing that one.
Didn't you say earlier in the game, unpredictable?
Yes.
Just as soon as he becomes predictable, he goes away. And away by design.
Up out of the zone with the fastball on that 0-2 pitch to run it 1-2.
And you can use that pitch there, that take by Colabello, to immediately go down below the zone with the changeup or the curveball. Both pitches have been very effective here tonight for Drew Smyly.
Swing up the right side. Souza on the run to make the catch. Now he drops it. And they're going to call it a no catch as Morrison goes back. With the throw coming back in now. Souza Jr. will argue that he caught it and was taking the ball out of his glove.
Yep. I think that's what Kevin Cash wants to know too. Let's take a look, ranging into foul territory. Ball into the glove.
The umpires will get together to talk this one over. You've got to believe that should be a catch.
Well, hopefully it's not anything like the NFL rule. Certainly looks like a catch. Yeah, I mean, that ball's in the glove, secures it a step or two, opens the glove up to take it out. It falls out. He was out of bounds, though.
Not even 1 foot. Let's see what the consensus is. It's Mike Everett, the crew chief, along with Tim Timmons, who made the call down there. So we're going to take a look. Decided to take a look at this one under review. Well, it's clear and convincing. It's as clear and convincing as the home run.
To me,
yeah.
Yeah, to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good catch right here. Eyes on the ball, ball into the glove. Right there, kind of secures that into the pocket, and then as he opens it to take it out, the ball comes out. That's absolutely should be a catch.
We had the review in the third and the review here in the fourth. The Rays trying to get the second out. Souza Jr. pretty convinced that he caught the second out of the inning, but when he started to hit the ball to make a throw, popped away.
You remember, was it last year, the year before, the catch rule, and the way that they had to tweak that midstream, because this would not have been, you know, you had to have it,
yeah,
2 or 3 steps. Then you would run into the wall. The ball falls out. No catch.
Yeah, that rule, you could have caught it. You could have rolled around 3 times and talked to 5 people, and the ball dropped out. And then it was a no catch. That was a ridiculous. I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that. It was so far out that they finally started to forget about it. Continue to play the season.
That's right. Brush that thing under the rug, send it away.
So, just from a technical sense, we have not been able to ascertain exactly what all is being challenged or reviewed. Message on the board here that that previous play is under review, but no information forthcoming yet. Set up exactly what's going on, so we'll let you know as soon as we know specifically.
And you know what? We know that it would have nothing to do with placing of runners or anything like that, because it was clearly a foul ball. Steven Souza Jr., that ball into the glove was well foul, so it's either a catch or not.
It's taking them a lot longer than it did that minute and 4 seconds on the home run.
Pizza must have gotten there.
Having trouble finding tip money. I'll tell you, if that is not a catch, they're going to have trouble with an infielder going to shallow right or left, making a catch and start to run the ball into the infield. On his way, he's running in, he drops it, and suddenly it's a no catch. All right, here we go. We're getting some information now. It was ruled a fair ball on the field.
By who?
And that's why Logan Morrison took the throw back from Souza and then touched first base. The Blue Jays are challenging that, and the Rays are challenging the no catch call.
How was that called fair? That ball wasn't anywhere near the line.
I'm not really sure myself.
I mean, that's the easiest one. Yeah,
so it is a catch.
Out.
Yeah, it's foul ball, and out of all that, they rule that it is a catch.
Well, the first ruling that it was a fair ball, that's puzzling already. That's nowhere near a fair ball, and that is a catch.
But I'll tell you, I was puzzled because Morrison was calling for the ball.
Right.
From Souza, and then he went over and touched first, and I'm thinking, why in the world would he be trying to touch first base on that play? It was so obvious that it was foul, but it was ruled fair. And Morrison heads up, as it turns out, heard the call and says, look, I'm going to go touch first, so the batter runner is out if it's fair. So if it's fair, the batter runner is out, which, you know, maybe Kevin Cash says, hey, maybe it was fair. Well, but doesn't make any difference. I mean, Colabello is out on the catch. Now the question, well, I'm not sure what the question is here. If we're going to continue this, you have any idea what they could be talking about now?
This game's still happening.
I mean,
I'm going to go get a coffee. Need anything? Orange whip? Orange whip?
You know what I'd like?
Rick, 3 orange whips?
I'd like the 2-seam ale. Do you have one of those? Go down to the draft room and I mean, it's not a fair ball. So now we're getting word that Toronto is not charged with a challenge. And that's what Kevin Cash was talking with the umpires about. So now it's not what happened on the field, but a matter of bookkeeping as to whether that's a challenge or not. Well, did they challenge that it was fair or foul? So let's figure that one out. Did they rule that it was a foul ball on the initial challenge and then determine that it was at the end of the play? We have 2 outs now with a man at second. Souza did catch that ball. It does make you thirsty. Here's Michael Saunders.
I mean, that truly is the downside of replay, and how it can just grind a game to a halt. Drew Smiley hasn't thrown a pitch in how long? 10 minutes?
Yeah, how can a guy now go back and, you know, resume? You got a man in scoring position in a 1-run game. 1-1 to count. That took a little over 5 minutes and only seemed longer. The home run review was 104. This was 5:03. Not 5 hours and 3 minutes, just 5 minutes and 3 seconds. Two and one. Todd Callis is the one man in the building who could square all this away and make it right again. Todd, what have you got?
Dwayne, possibly for the first time in instant replay history, 2 reviews, 1 play, both correct. Jay's review that the ball was foul, they were right on that. That was overturned. Ray's review was that the ball should have been a catch. They were right on that. Overturned. So nobody loses the challenge.
There you go. See, it's that simple. Just took a long time to get it done. Oh, now a long drive to center. Kiermaier's going to have to leap, and he got it! No, he didn't. Oh, I thought for a moment he brought it back, but that ball is gone. Wow. Kiermaier did all he could, and after that long delay, Saunders hits a 2-run home run. Wow. Well, that's what you fear.
Yep. That was a towering blast there by Saunders. He had 4 in spring training, and we're so used to Kevin Kiermaier making these highlight reel catches. How close?
Oh. Now this one by Smiley, picked by Forsythe, and the throw. Goins is out, but finally in this inning. Boy, Kiermaier gave him all he had on that shot by Saunders. Here he is. Oh, just out of his reach. 4. Hits one out to center field to make it a 3-run inning. You know, Smiley only made 16 pitches in that inning, but over 5 minutes elapsed between the eventual ruling that it was a catch on the foul ball off Colomolo's bat, and then on the 4th pitch back after that delay, here's the home run to center.
Boy, and what hurt Kevin Kiermaier there at the end is, you know, he can jump out of the gym, and he's jumping and twisting his body at the same time, and that ball able to just elude the glove.
Here's a strike to Desmond Jennings. Yeah, that's for the Rays. That's extremely frustrating right there. So now they'll have to go back to work here against R.A. Dickey. Dickey's quickly ahead of Desmond Jennings. Kiermaier did everything except catch that ball to try to save the day. grounder foul. Still 2 strikes. Ball, 2 strikes. That home run by Saunders was his first in a Blue Jays uniform. He was injured most of last year. And Jennings is out on strikes. It was just 9 games for the Blue Jays. So Tolley, who didn't hit a home run last year, has one tonight. Saunders, who was just in 9 games, didn't hit a home run, has hit the other one tonight for the Blue Jays.
And what's even more surprising, or as surprising, is both left-handed hitters. You know, coming off of Drew Smyly, who's absolutely owned lefties in his career, and even more so since coming over as a Ray. This slash line against lefties before tonight's game was a 156 average, 216 slug.
Miller missing the knuckleball, down 0-2. Rays got their run on the Souza Jr. homer in the 2nd inning. Right back to the mound. 2 up, 2 down in the 4th inning. Here's your chance to get a steal. Today's steal of the day, Rays fan, features press level seats for any game this series versus Toronto for half price. That's just $19. Available tonight only. Visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS for more information. Rays up. Souza lines it, and it's grabbed by Colabello. Hit the ball hard, but Colabello extending that long arm to make the catch. On to the 5th, 4-1. Rays baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by Ram Trucks, Cuts, Glory Ram. By Bank United. Switch to Bank United today. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Furman, the Bay Area's first name in Chevrolet. Josh Tolley takes that first pitch. It's a ball. Ground ball to the right side. Morrison with the toss to Smiley. So one quick out here in the 5th inning.
Number 11.
There's some oddities in this game for sure. Home runs by Tolle and Saunders. Lengthy reviews.
2 reviews on the same play, both of them being right.
Pilar fouls a little number back. 26-year-old lefty Drew Smiley. Pitch in on Pilar and he fouls it. 0-2. How about that barehanded grab?
Swallow that thing up.
Down to third, Longoria. Will be the second out. 2 gone. Well, we've seen how quickly this Blue Jay lineup can strike. They scored 891 runs last year and hit 232 home runs.
The most powerful offense in baseball, and it really wasn't close. And you know what? They could be even better this year. A full season of Tulowitzki, Michael Saunders for a full season if he can stay healthy. And we've already seen, you know, the power coming out of spring training, the power here tonight. That's another weapon.
Yeah, that's impressive to do what he did right there. Tulowitzki drove in a run with a fly ball to center, and then Saunders hit the 2-run home run to center. Two-one count to Donaldson. Donaldson lays off the fastball upstairs. Boy, he got into that one. Off speed 3-1, and he hits it out to left center. And it's 5-1.
And he was not fooled at all. The rhythm, the timing of the swing were spot on, and that's why this ball gets launched. There you can see the changeup, and not fooled. Look at foot down, head down. The swing is right on it, and that ball just jumps off the bat.
Bautista takes the pitch down. So Donaldson, who had 41 home runs last year, has his first of the year tonight. A 1-1 count. So 3 home runs in this game. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Chris Coors Light. And the home run leaders on that board. Popped up. Will it be playable? And Casale covered a lot of ground from behind the plate to make that catch. That's a nice play by the Rays catcher. Blue Jays score 1 and lead 5-1. Coming in to hit in the home half of the 5th. This week only, T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Kevin Kiermaier takes the first pitch from Dickey, a knuckleball wide. 1-0. Two balls, no strikes. Coming into this inning, Dickey had made 13 first pitch strikes, facing 16 hitters, and that's another interesting fact about him as a knuckleball pitcher. You can't wait him out and expect that he's going to walk you. That's a base hit. Cut off by Saunders. Kiermaier's aboard with his second hit.
Yeah, that's a great point, because when you think about a knuckleball pitcher in general, a couple of things come to mind. Probably going to walk a lot of guys because the ball dances all over the place, and he's going to be real easy to run on because it's going to be tough for a catcher to handle him.
And guess again on both fronts.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. You think knuckleball, and you think, well, the ball's going to be all over the place. He'll walk you. Then you can steal a base. Doesn't happen against this guy. He's tough to run on.
3 seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's given up 17 stolen bases.
Yep.
Throwing an average of about 218 innings a year.
How about that? There you go. To break it down last year. 6 steals, 4 caught. He'll pick you off. 3 pickoffs last year. Has 29 in his career.
Quick feet, short arm action.
2-0 to Casale. Rays the leadoff hitter aboard in the 5th inning. Trying to build on that. You know, the other thing about him, you know, Mark Burley was on this club the last few years, and he worked as quickly as anybody. And Dickey's in the top 5 in pitches and how quickly he works.
And watch, just pick the foot up, put it down. It's as simple as you can get.
2-2.
So you combine the fact that he does a great job of holding runners because of the fear of the pickoff. He'll keep them close. And then he's very quick to the plate and throws a lot of strikes, even with the knuckleball.
Quick move over there. Kiermaier back in. Up the middle, there's a base hit for Casale. Kiermaier's going to go to third. Throw from Pilar up the line. First to third, nobody out.
Boy, another aggressive move by Kevin Kiermaier on the base pass. An accurate throw. That would have been an interesting play over there at third base. And Kevin Pilar, normally very accurate with his throws. And this one just sails wide. He's got a chance to get him here.
The Rays, for the first time since the first inning, have 2 men on at the same time. Logan Forsythe up there. He takes the ball. Logan is grounded out and popped out. Into the game, 6 of 21 in his career against R.A. Dickey. And this one by Tolley down the line. Kiermaier, and he is in there safely. Rays get a run. So his hustle going to third helps to produce the run here as Casale trails into second base on the wild pitch.
Well, trying to jumpstart this offense, get something going. An aggressive play to get to third, and then a knuckleball that gets away from Tolley. That ball just took off, cutting away from the hitter. And no chance to get Kiermaier on the plate at the plate. We've seen Dickey with that knuckleball here tonight. Clearly gets in. But that knuckleball really taking off, almost some cutting action to that pitch. Too much there.
It's 3-0. Well, it was a calculation made by Kiermaier to get the third, push the envelope a little, but against the knuckleballer, it's paid off with the wild pitch and the run. And now there's ball 4. First 3 men aboard here in the inning.
Well, this is where you've got to make your move. R.A. Dickey right now struggling a little bit. The bottom of the order has already hit him up for a run. You get a walk to the leadoff man, get your third look at him. It's time to make a move.
Number 7, Logan Morrison.
Logan Morrison will be the hitter. He walked his first time and grounded out to first the last time up. John Gibbons, you saw pacing in the Toronto dugout. They're going to get some action going in their bullpen. There's a strike to Morrison. Forsythe first, Casali at second. It's a ball. It's 1-1 on Logan Morrison.
Well, this is where you really have to stay disciplined because R.A. Dickey wants to keep that knuckleball down in the zone and get Logan Morrison to beat it into the ground.
Jesse Chavez down there in the bullpen. Morrison fouls it back. Rays first baseman is down in the count. 1-2. Morrison is out on strikes. A big strikeout for Dickey with Evan Longoria coming up.
Now it's so tough to lay off with 2 strikes, and R.A. Dickey well aware of that. He takes this down in the zone knowing it's going to end up below the zone, and Logan Morrison just cannot hold up. Nasty pitch.
Longoria 1 out of 2, a first inning double his hit so far tonight. Ball 1. Evan with 2 career home runs off Dickey. Out after that pitch, and he missed it. 1-1.
Frustrating. That's all you can say.
Tried to be aggressive on that pitch up, and it broke away from him. 1-2.
Well, that's the other way that R.A. Dickey can get you, is he will change speeds with that knuckleball and be aggressive with the velocity, take some off. We saw him, these last couple have been mid-upper 70s. We saw him strike out Desmond Jennings on one that was 66. So he will play with the velocity on top of all the movement.
So the count remains 1-2. Rays getting the potential tying run to the plate in the 5th. Saunders back to the track though, and he'll make the catch just on the edge of the turf. Just not enough there to get that one out.
Well, you get excited when Evan Longoria takes a swing and you see that kind of trajectory coming off the bat. You're assuming, hey, baby, that's a 3-run. It's a tie ball game. And it just falls a little bit short. Let's see where he got it on the bat. Just off the end. Tried to pull those hands through there, and that late little movement took it right to the end of the bat, and he was not able to get enough on it. And he knew it.
So 2 gone. Still men at first and second. Corey Dickerson. Another power threat. Strike 1. Knuckleball after knuckleball from R.A. Dickey. Cut the miss.
There was one thought with that swing.
Tie game. Enticing up there. Two.
Boy, this is where you start to think about R.A. Dickey subtracting with that knuckleball velocity and really slowing it up here. Been going hard with it.
High pop up. Donaldson makes the call and the catch. Well, the Rays get a run. They lead 2. 5-2 Toronto through 5. Rays opening scoring tonight when Steven Souza Jr. hit an 0-1 pitch out of here to right field. That came in the bottom of the second inning. Before Drew Smiley was touched for the home run by Josh Tolley to right center field in the third. For a moment it appeared that was going to be a double. In the fourth, Michael Saunders capped the inning on a 2-run home run. Josh Donaldson hit the off-speed pitch out in the fifth. The third home run of the night for the Blue Jays, and they lead 5-2. Rays with a run in the bottom of the fifth. And here we are with Edwin Encarnacion leading off the sixth. And Smiley's fastball is in for a strike call. Encarnacion's been on twice. Smiley walked him in the first, then he singled and scored in the fourth.
Well, we wondered yesterday coming into the season, Encarnacion got a week's worth of at-bats in minor league games, coming off of a oblique injury during the course of spring training. What was his timing going to be like? Well, really hasn't missed a beat.
He's over this one. It's 1-2. Yeah, he hit a home run in his first minor league game after missing all of spring training. And 2 hits yesterday, drove in 2 runs. He's going to walk and a single tonight. Two. Well, when you look at the year Encarnacion had last year, Tulowitzki there on deck, 39 homers, 111 runs batted in. And the hitters in front of him into left, and Jennings will catch this one. But you look at his on-base percentage as well as his power numbers, that slugging percentage, very, very good.
How would you like to go out in a big league season, crack 39 home runs, and finish third?
Yeah.
Not in the league.
On your team.
On your team.
I know, that's exactly what he did. Tulowitzki takes a strike. A little over 80 pitches for Smiley now. Two quick strikes to Tulowitzki. Ball to 2 strikes. Dropping yesterday's game 5-3, and they're down 5-2 tonight. Each team with 5 hits in this game. Rays have left 5 men on base. Blue Jays with 3 home runs have left only 1 man on base tonight. 2-2 now to Troy Tulowitzki. Josh Donaldson hit the home run in the 5th. Only Saunders have hit home runs. He's going to take care of the Toronto shortstop. 2 up, 2 down. Follow Rays Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day. Live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Chris Colabello, the first baseman. Takes the pitch for a strike. Well, Colabello is a great story. 32 years old, number of years in independent baseball to keep his career and his hopes alive. 1-1 now.
And what a perfect lineup to just slide into quietly and put up the numbers that he did. You know, you're not going to be the focus. You're going to be thinking about Donaldson and Encarnacion and Tulowitzki and Bautista. And so Chris Colabello can just kind of hide out in that lineup, and he put up tremendous numbers last year.
Yeah, hit .321 and just over 100 games, hit 15 home runs. 1-2 on him right here. Smiley out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and the University of Arkansas. That has become a much more prevalent pitch for him tonight and this spring. 5-2 Toronto. Rays baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by Ram Trucks, Guts Glory Ram. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealer. '41-year-old knuckleballer R.A. Dickey set to open the bottom of the 6th inning. Desmond Jennings leads it off. There's first pitch missing, 1-0. Two balls, no strikes. One. Jose Chavez back up in the bullpen. Foul ball, back and out of play. 2-2 now. Jennings, Miller, and Sousa Jr. due up here. Shortstop Tulowitzki, and a close play, safe at first.
Could not get the ball out of his glove. Well, he got to it in time, got around it, ready to make the throw, and you can see how wide the stitching is in that glove, and that ball got stuck, and Jennings beat it out.
There, could not pull it out of that webbing.
You may see those strings get tightened up a little bit tonight.
So here's Jennings reaching, and he'll get a base hit, and out comes John Gibbons. It's kind of tough for Dickey here. I mean, the webbing isn't that porous. That's a ground ball to short. Pitching change coming, back in a moment. A base hit, but if that ball doesn't get stuck in that glove, that's an out.
Boy, look how wide the webbing, the strings, and that ball gets stuck in there. Yeah, we saw a shot like this yesterday, and I've never seen an infielder's glove where you could see daylight between the fingers, let alone the webbing. And that ball does get stuck in there. He was not able to pull it out in time, and that gives the Rays a hit, and it ends the night for R.A. Dickey.
And Jesse Chavez comes into this game now to face Brad Miller. Miller had a tough time with Dickey's knuckleball in 2 at-bats. Dickey out of there after 82 pitches and 5 innings plus. Leaves with a man on. And now it's 2-0. Chavez, 32 years old. He was 7-15 last year with Oakland. Most of that as a starter. 26 starts and 4 appearances out of the bullpen with a save. And Miller quickly ahead of him, 3-0. Comes in and walks him on 4 pitches. And the Rays with 2 men on again have the potential tying run at the plate in this 5-2 ball game. She's a homer back in the 2nd inning off Dickey. 1 for 2. First home run of the year.
Well, the Rays have given themselves opportunities in tonight's game, have not been able to cash in as well as they would have liked, and here is another one. First 2 runners aboard.
Strike, fastball. Souza 0 for 3 against Chavez last year. Cut and the miss.
Jesse Chavez with that drop and drive. Loose arm action, that ball at 93 miles an hour, but it has some life to it.
Ground ball to Lewinsky. Out at second, going to be safe at first, and the Rays will have men on the corners with 1 out. Miller forced at second. Ball not hit hard enough. Tulowitzki had to go to his right. And with Souza's speed, he beat the throw at first.
Well, runners on the corner here for Kevin Kiermaier. The one thing that we saw with Kevin Kiermaier last year and his continued development as a hitter is that ability to shoot the ball the other way. And you got to believe that Jesse Chavez is going to attack him the same way that he attacked Brad Miller, with that sinker down and away. Look for him to try to shoot that ball to left field.
Line drive into right. That's going to fall. And the play at second, safe there. The run scores as Jennings crosses the plate to make it 5-3. Souza had to wait to see if that ball was going to carry all the way to Bautista, and his speed just beat the play.
Now this ball caught a little too much plate, and that allowed Kiermaier to get out and around it and pull that ball. And you're absolutely right. Is it going to get to Bautista? Kind of hangs up there. He tries to bait him. Ends up having to slide in, but base hit. Safe at second. Rays chip into the lead.
It's Kurt Casale breaking to the bag coins, but no play back there. Souza the runner at second. Kiermaier's at first. Speed on the bases. Rays make it a 2-run game. Into the dirt and blocked by Tolle. Blue Jays are going to get more action going in their bullpen. Morales is the left-hander. Franklin Morales was a late addition to this bullpen. The right-hander, Arnold Leon. Chavez taking a bit too much time for Casale, who steps back. So 3 runs charged to Dickey in 5 innings plus. Breaking ball is in there for a strike. Fastball followed the curveball. He has an assortment. He'll give you that fastball, the cutter, the curveball, slider, the change.
And there was the cutter at 91. Very subtle with the cut.
Yeah, that's a big pitch for him.
No, it pairs up with that sinker.
A cut and a miss. There you go.
Yeah, 2 in a row. 2 in a row and well executed. Both at 91 miles an hour. The first one is on the edge of the plate, and this one he takes just off. And Curt Casale can't reach it.
Two gone. Here's Logan Forsythe. Staying with that. There's a strike.
And we saw how he commanded that in the last 2 pitches to Casale. Why wouldn't you? Like you said, a big pitch for him, and he's got a great feel for it right now.
Andy Farquhar up in the bullpen for the Rays. Now the strike call. And it's 0-2. Forsythe out on strikes. A couple of strikeouts after the Kiermaier base hit. Rays trail by 2 through 6. Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. By your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. And by Checkers, fast foodies know the deal. Well, Drew Smiley out there to face Michael Saunders opening the 7th inning. Five runs, 5 hits, and 3 of those hits home runs. Saunders hit the 2-run shot in the 4th inning, leading off the 7th. 0-1. Goins, second baseman next. Tolle is due. Line drive, that's a fair ball. Beyond the bullpen. Souza Jr. plays the carom, and the left-handed bat of Saunders has contributed in a very significant way tonight for Toronto against Smiley.
Well, he's able to keep this line drive fair. It was hooking, but about a foot inside the line down into the corner. Logan Morrison got to give it an effort. Just not able to get there. That ball was hit hard. Blue Jays looking to answer.
Ryan Goins takes a strike as he shortens on the bat.
The Blue Jays, not very often do they look to play small ball, but here with the lefties against Drew Smiley, even though they've had success swinging the bat, looking maybe here to bunt the runner over to third.
Swings away, lines it to left, caught by Jennings.
You bait him into thinking that you may bunt him over and then take a swing. I wonder how many sacrifice bunts this team had last year.
Yeah, I was just thinking, as close to a sacrifice bunt as they could come to just try to fake you out on one pitch.
Not part of the DNA of this team.
Now the catcher, Josh Tolle. Strike one. Tolle homered in the 3rd on a ball that was initially ruled a double, but with fan interference it was turned into a home run. He pops it up for Brad Miller this time. 2 outs. Kevin Pillar is due up with his right-handed bat. That brings Kevin Cash out of the Rays dugout. That signals the end of the night for Drew Smiley out there. 6 2/3 for Drew. Call to the bullpen. 5-3 ball game right now. And take a look at his night.
Well, we saw Drew Smyly do some nice things, some good sequencing, especially early in the game, moving the fastball around the zone, changeup, and the curveball down below the zone. But he was bit by the home run ball here tonight from some unlikely sources, too. Josh Tolley, who did not have a home run all of last year. Michael Saunders, who goes straight away center field, both left-handed hitters. You're not going to see that very often against Drew Smyly, and Josh Donaldson would get him, and he comes out after 6 2/3 innings.
Danny Farquhar, the new pitcher, with a man at second and 2 outs. Farquhar making his Rays debut, and he throws a strike. Fastball to start Kevin Pillar. Farquhar, 29 years old. 43 games last year with Seattle. Spent 13, 14, and last year 2015 with the Mariners. Originally got to the big leagues briefly with this Toronto ball club. One right now. Ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, this is a big spot, too. You think about the fact that the Rays have given themselves opportunities offensively. They've cut this down to a 2-run lead, and then you get a leadoff double by Saunders. But Drew Smyly gets 2 outs, allows no movement from the base runner Saunders. You can get this last out, get out of the inning.
It's a pop-up foul ball. Will it be playable for Casale? That's out of play.
You still have at least 3 more opportunities at the bat.
Yep. The Rays have closed it to 2. Farquhar trying to keep it right there. Farquhar coming over from Seattle in that same deal involving Brad Miller and Logan Morrison in the Nathan Carnes deal. Take the count full. Good closing experience, a couple of months worth in Seattle in 2013. This ball fouled back. And he's another guy we talked about. Chavez cutting the ball. Farquhar will use that cutter, and when he's successful, that cutter's good, and when he struggles, it's not quite as consistent. He gets a call, 3rd strike right there to get out of that spot. 7th inning stretch, 5-3 Toronto. the 7th inning. Fans taking the 7th inning stretch at Tropicana Field tonight. 5-3 Toronto. That's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. Pre-game show is presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Here to Rays players discuss their personal goals. And hear from Jay Odorizzi. Brett Cecil takes over on the mound. Pitcher number 3 for the Blue Jays tonight. Justin Smoke's in the game at first. Logan Morrison due, but Steve Pearce on to swing the bat. Swing it he does. Strike 1. Pearce hits for Morrison against the lefty.
Brett Cecil, a tough customer. Big strikeout numbers. Can sink the ball down and away from the righties. Tough on lefties.
One and one. Two balls and a strike. Pearce has hit well here at Tropicana Field. You see Longoria on deck. Seven career home runs here, 4 of those coming last year. With a healthy slugging percentage at the Trop. Trying to get something started to lead off the 7th. Lifts the fly ball into left center field. Got hang time. Pilar on the run, and he grabs it and hits the wall. Did he hold on, and is he all right? Wow. Pilar managed to hold on, and you can see his forehead. He collided there right at the bottom of the wall. That had enough hang time for the speedy Pilar to get over there. And boy, what an effort by the Toronto center fielder.
Now this series features 2 of the best go-and-get-it center fielders in the game. And how about the ground covered here? Wow, I mean absolutely not a care in the world for his body. He has to leave his feet there, make the catch, knowing he's going to eat the wall. What a play.
Well, he managed to get that right hand on the wall just enough to avoid what could have been a very major situation for him, going headlong into the wall. So thank goodness he got at least a little bit of that right hand out there, and still that was quite a shot against the bottom of the wall. 1-0 the count to Evan Longoria now. One and one. Evan doubled his first time up. Behind in the count here. Take a look at Pilar going after this.
Just tremendous effort, and Brett Cecil, yes, concern.
And Longoria out on strikes.
3 perfectly executed pitches in a row there by Brett Cecil. The changeup, the cutter in off the plate, finishes him off with the curveball. That's what makes Brett Cecil so effective, the ability to just go from pitch to pitch to pitch. He is a tough customer, and he knows how to put guys away.
Now it's Corey Dickerson against the tough lefty. Now called back for a strike. Two. Count still at 2 strikes. Back healthy for the Blue Jays after tearing a calf muscle in the playoffs last year. He'll be 30 years old during the middle of the season. Retired Pierce and Longoria. And now Dickerson, he gets him on strike, sweeping the curveball. The Rays are out in the 7th inning. 1, 2, 3, and boy, this catch by Pilar to open the inning changed the potential complexion of the whole frame. Still 5-3. In the Toronto dugout there, he was met by their training staff to look him over. He says he's fine. It was quite a catch by an outstanding center fielder there in the bottom of the 7th inning. So on to the 8th we go, and it's Josh Donaldson. He takes the first pitch, a curveball too high. Danny Farquhar on the hill. He finished the top of the 7th inning, opens the 8th. 2-0. Steve Pierce stays in the game, and he's at first base. Three and nothing. Donaldson with Bautista on deck, and then Encarnacion. And there's a leadoff walk to Donaldson. Runner on with nobody out. This week only, T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest growing LTE network. A strike to Bautista. Well, you want to be careful putting men on base in front of the middle part of this order.
Yeah, leadoff walks across the board, never a good thing. And Danny Farquhar is not able to find the strike zone with any consistency, but he's done so far here with Bautista trying to come back and put up another 0 for the Rays.
Foul right back into the upper deck. After the breaking balls for strikes, the fastball foul back. In a bit. Get more action in the bullpen. Eddie Romero is throwing. He was in the game for an inning yesterday. Base hit. Lined into center, and the first two hitters are on in the 8th against Farquhar.
Well, this pitch was down in the zone, but it was out over the plate, and Jose Bautista gets the ball airborne better than anybody in the game. That ball below the knees, and he's able to get extension and hit a line drive into center field, and now it gets interesting.
Edwin Encarnacion, the designated hitter. Ooh, what a cut right there. Strike one.
Oh, he turned it loose. He turned it loose on a cutter at 89.
He singled and scored a run in the 4th, walked in the 2nd. One and one. Ball, 2 strikes.
Well, that is how you sell a changeup. You know, Danny Farquhar has that lower 3/4 arm angle. It sets up well for the cutter to get some movement on the fastball, and that changeup right there was deluxe.
And he cut the miss. Try it again.
Hey, you've got that kind of feel for it. On the previous pitch, why not? You're in a big spot. You could use a ground ball double play or the strikeout. He goes right back to the off speed, to the changeup, keeps it down in the zone, and gets Encarnacion right out over the top.
Now Troy Tulowitzki. Curveball he takes for a strike. Bautista first and Donaldson at second. Oh, 2. Justin Smoke on deck. He replaced Colabello defensively in the 7th inning. Walk and a single, putting 2 men aboard. Strikeout of Encarnacion. Tulowitzki fouls the fastball away. 0-2.
How about those shoes?
I was just going to say, there's a fashion statement via the footwear.
You get those shoes, then you get the bat handles that are fluorescent green or yellow.
Just a little piece of that off-speed pitch foul. With a fastball, it's 1-2. Shot to left. Jennings has room and makes the catch. Had him out in front. Got him on the changeup.
Hey, you know what? Miss the barrel.
Yep.
That's the key. That is the key. Miss the barrel. Get it off the end. Get it off the label.
So now we get down to Smoke and a pitching change coming. With this club, nothing new when they hit home runs. Yellowwood bringing the lumber, and they do that every night. 3 home runs.
Well, it started with Josh Tolley out there in right center field, a play that would be reviewed, and switched over to a home run. Michael Saunders goes dead center on a towering shot, and then Josh Donaldson gets a 3-1 changeup, and he was all over it. But like you said, nothing new. This is what this team does.
Smoke, a switch hitter, batting right-handed against Eddie Romero, whose first pitch is a fastball in there at 95 for a strike. Into the dirt. Whoa, what a pick by Casale right there. Not a lot of time. And he scooped that one.
No time for technique, especially on a fastball. You're expecting that ball to be, I don't know, a few feet further than that one. Nice pick.
Foul back, 96 on that one. And we saw last year the arm that Romero takes to the mound with him. And it's a matter of simplifying his delivery and being consistent with location, command. He's ahead of Smoke. And he got it. Smoke takes care of Smoke. 95, 96, 97, and he's out. 5-3 Toronto. Rays down by 2, coming in to hit in the 8th. Baseball is back, and FS1 starts the season Thursday as Prince Fielder and the Rangers take on Mike Trout and the Angels. It's all on America's home for baseball all season long. FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Desmond Jennings will face Drew Storen. He is the 4th pitcher of the night, on to work the 8th for the Blue Jays. It's a hot shot foul. Look out down there. Well, that first pitch, and Jennings ready for it. Hit it on a line. Storen coming over from Washington in exchange for Ben Revere. 1-1.
Well, the question for the Blue Jays going into spring training was who was going to close, Drew Storen or Roberto Osuna. Osuna able to hold on to that job. Saw him last night.
Ground ball through the left side. There's a base hit. And the Rays get the leadoff man aboard. 2nd hit of the night for Jennings.
Well, they have just been tantalizing all night with the offense, giving themselves opportunities, early base runners in an inning, multiple base runners in an inning. He got another one here. He got some speed on the base paths, down by just 2.
There's Brad Miller. Miller getting his first look at Storen and his career. Pitch is a strike. High ball lifted to center. Pilar makes the catch.
Right fielder, number 20, Steven Souza Jr.
1 on, 1 out for Steven Souza Jr. against Storen. Storen had 29 saves last year in Washington. His big year for them was back in 2011. And a career high 73 appearances and made 43 of those count as saves. 43 saves that year. Souza lays off the slider for a ball. Up on the appeal, they're going to say he went around. Souza's home run came in the second inning. Ray's not happy about that. So it's a strike. Now the fastball is in. 0-2.
Take a look at that check swing. 81-mile-an-hour slider down and off the plate, and boy, it certainly looked like it's borderline, but it looked like he held up.
Yep. Ball, 2 strikes. He lays off that one.
Yeah, that's tough too, because Drew Storn can really sweep the slider.
Gelson Cedeno up in the bullpen, the righty and the lefty. It's 2-2. Kiermaier on deck. The Rays left 2 men on in the first, both in scoring position. Left a man on in scoring position in the second. Left 2 on, 1 in scoring position in the 5th. And the same thing in the 6th inning. Swing and a miss. Souza on the fastball, out on strikes.
Well, Kevin Kiermaier always trying to positively affect the game with his speed. And you see right here, he's able to bait Jose Bautista into throwing behind him. Gets back to full speed, gets into second base. He's pretty fired up about that. And then right here, on a ball up the middle, Kevin Pillar throws the ball well, and Kevin Kiermaier is going to challenge him. He gets over to third base. He would later score right here on a wild pitch. That's what he brings to the table, and we see it night in and night out.
The pitch to Kiermaier. In there for strike 1. Kevin facing Storn for the first time. Knocks that one foul. Jennings opened the inning with a base hit. Miller hit a fly ball to center. Souza struck out. Two strikes the count to Kiermaier. Kevin with 3 hits tonight, had a hit his last time up yesterday. And the take down and in on the slider, a ball, 2 strikes. Rays 1 of 11 tonight with men in scoring position. That hit was Kiermaier's in the 6th. There goes Jennings. Pitch is wide. The throw will skip through into center. Jennings will go over to third. Steal for Jennings. An error on Tolley.
Well, Jennings got a good jump. There was really no way that Josh Tolley had a chance to get him. He rushes the throw, kind of yanks it. It stays down, skips by Tulowitzki. Jennings off to the races again.
Two the count to Kiermaier. Fouls the slider away. 3 runs tonight for the Rays, all charged to R.A. Dickey. Chavez followed, then Cecil, now Storen. Close right there. Just missed with a fastball. Kiermaier decided to take it, and it was wide. Storen looking for the call that never came. So 2 men on. Casalli's being withdrawn. The matchup against Storen, the Rays would like to have Conger, the switch hitter who'll hit left-handed against him. And with no action in the bullpen, it will be Conger and Storen matching up here.
Number 24,
A big difference between left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters against Drew Storen. Lefties last year hit 284, right-handers hit just 146, so a no-brainer move here. And Hank Conger, you know, he gives you that added dimension of power.
Yep. And his matchups last year from the left side against right-handers, pretty good. 229 overall, but up over 270 with pop from the left side.
This is the game that you can see Kevin Cash playing all season long with his catchers, playing the matchups.
Conger after the first one and misses. You see the splits on Conger, 279 from the left side with 7 of the 11 home runs. One and one. Casali had gone 1 for 3 tonight. Now lifted in favor of the matchup. Forsythe hoping to bat in the 8th. The take on that pitch, darting down and in. And the slider, it's 2-1. Ball evens the count. Rays led briefly tonight with a run in the second inning on the Souza Jr. home run. Blue Jays tied it in the 3rd, took the lead in the 4th, and the Rays have been playing catch up ever since. 2 men on, 2 outs, a 2-2 count on Conger. 3-2.
They are making Drew Storen work. We've seen everything from him, the fastball, the changeup, the slider. Some good at-bats here. Can they finish it off?
Kiermaier off first, 3-2, men at first and third, so Kiermaier will be taking off here. And that's important in a 2-run game.
Well, you get a ball anywhere near the gap, and you know he's going to try and score.
He's off. The pitch, strike 3 call. Fastball on the corner in. So the Rays lead 2. Take another look at that final pitch of the 8th. We go to the 9th, and it's 5-3. We welcome you back to Tropicana Field in this 2-run game. Steven Souza's home run gave the Rays the lead, but Tolley, Saunders, and Donaldson have homered with long balls for Toronto. Good night for Kevin Kiermaier. 3 hits, run batted in, a walk, run scored. And as we go to the 9th inning, a new battery for the Rays. Hank Conger behind the plate. Steve Geltz on the mound, their 4th pitcher.
Well, he was a busy man last year. 70 games, 67 1/3 innings, 61 strikeouts, that opponent's average of 189. Excellent.
You love this guy's heart, I'll tell you. The job he did for the Rays last year. Michael Saunders, the first man to face him. The Rays shift the infield, and the pitch is fouled away. Saunders has homered and doubled. 2 for 3. Five, 7-1 for the Blue Jays tonight. 3-8-0 for the Rays. Foul right back, 0-2. Ball, 2 strikes. Rays in the bottom of the 9th due to have the top of the order up. Important to keep the Blue Jays where they are. There's a strikeout on the 4-seamer up. Saunders out on strikes.
That's the 9th strikeout.
Steve Geltz, another one of the members of the Rays pitching staff, very proficient at the elevated fastball. Boy, look at him stay behind that with those power fingers and drive that pitch up into the zone, up close to the eyes of Michael Saunders, and he cannot lay off.
There's a first pitch strike. Fell back, 0-2. Nine strikeouts for Rays pitching. Smiley had 5. Farquhar 2. Romero 1. Now Geltz with 1. And a comebacker. Geltz with the flip to first. So 2 up and 2 down. Josh Tolley will bat. Tolley with a home run tonight. He's 1 for 3. Blue Jays have Osuna and Gavin Floyd throwing in the bullpen. Osuna with the save in yesterday's game. 1-0. See the young right-hander on the right side of your screen. One and one. Fly ball for Jennings at left. Desmond waits and puts it away. We're going to head into the bottom of the 9th inning. The Rays are down by 2. They'll have the top of the order coming up.
To 3 coming up after the game. It'll be our Rays Live post-game show presented by Checkers. I'll be joined on set by Orestes Estrada and Doug Wechter. We'll have Emily Austin gathering interviews in the Rays clubhouse, including interviews with the manager Kevin Cash and tonight's starter Drew Smiley and others. Guys, we've already done a post-game show with a 5-3 Jays win. That was yesterday. Let's try and flip the script tonight. Back to you.
Yeah, let's see if some late game heroics will change the script tonight. They'll have to do it against the hard-throwing right-hander Roberto Osuna. He pitched the 1 inning yesterday to pick up the save. He gave up an RBI single to Kevin Kiermaier in that game. And here he'll face Logan Forsythe to lead it off. Then Pierce and Longoria. Ball 1. Forsythe 0 for 3. He walked in the 5th inning.
Boy, that's about as clean and quick 97 that you'll see. Effortless. Ball just jumps and explodes on the hitters.
Fly ball lifted into right. Batista has it. 1 gone.
First baseman, number 28, Steve Pierce.
Steve Pierce hit against the right-hander Osuna. Osuna had 20 saves last year in 23 opportunities. Hitting in the 7th inning, hit that drive to left center. Was caught by Pilar as he literally challenged the wall. Now it's 2-0. Rays need a base runner to have a shot. They're down by 2. They've had some opportunities tonight. 1 of 12 with men in scoring position. into shallow center. Goins out looking for it. The shortstop Tulowitzki's there to make the catch. Goins got out there and had no idea where that ball was, and Tulowitzki was there to catch it.
We see it all the time. The roof here at Tropicana Field. Always, you can see right there, Ryan Goins, no idea. You're right. Luckily for the Blue Jays, Troy Tulowitzki is locked in on it. Goins had no shot. Still looking for it.
So here's Longoria. Evan doubled back in the first. He is 1 for 4. It's a ground ball, too short. Tulowitzki makes the throw to first, and this one is decided by the same score as yesterday. It's a 5-3 final tonight as the Rays go 3 up and 3 down in the 9th inning. And the Blue Jays take the first 2 games of this 4-game series. Dickey will get the win. Smiley will take the loss. A save for Osuna. Took 2 hours and 58 minutes to play this one. And it's a 5-3 final. So the same 2 teams tomorrow. We'll be with you at 6:30 for Game 3 of this series. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats. We'll see you tomorrow night. Post-game coverage coming up.